Hello everyone, Billy the Kid here, back with another video. This time, actually, a requested video from Uncle Salty. I'll put his channel in the description below. Give him some love. He's a cool dude. On this model, this is the third rail New York Central Mercury. This is an older engine. Uncle Salt, I think I mentioned that I had the Mercury in my H10B third rail video, which is on my channel. Back to the New York Central Mercury here. This is quite an old model. It's from third rail. But let's talk about the actual real-world Mercury, because this is based off of a real locomotive. The first Mercury was introduced on July 15th, 1936. So, old. You had actually three different Mercuries. You have the Cleveland Mercury, the Chicago Mercury, and the Cincinnati Mercury. The original Mercury was from Cleveland, Ohio to Detroit, Michigan. In fact, all Mercuries went from their namesake city, so Cleveland, Chicago, Cincinnati, to Detroit. They all met up in Detroit. So this was essentially a way for the New York Central to kind of have a pretty strong foothold in the Midwest. I guess Chicago is technically Midwest. Yeah, it is. So not only did New York Central have the 20th Century Limited, which went from New York City to Chicago, but if you wanted to get to Detroit, you could hop on the Mercury and go from Chicago to Detroit. The last service was actually the Cleveland Mercury, so the original Mercury was the last Mercury to be retired on July 11th, 1959. So this service, or this service lasted for 23 years, the Mercury service. It lasted for 23 years. Almost. Just shy of 4 days. Shy of 4 days. And it would have been exactly 23 years. You know, I mean, come on, New York Central. You had it. You had something there. You could have hit it on the mark. But no. Yeah, you had to just say, nah, it's done. Also, this had a 7-car consist. Each Mercury had 7 cars. These were mainly just coach cars / parlor cars, because these weren't overnight trains. Unlike the New York Central's 20th Century Limited, which again ran from New York City to Chicago, this was going from literally just connecting the Midwest. So if you needed to get from Cleveland to Detroit, well, you can do that. You hop on the Mercury. And, a couple of hours, maybe a few hours on the train, you have a good time, you have a drink, you have a smoke, because this is 30s. You were allowed to smoke on those. You can relax. The cars were pretty nice looking. The observation car, of course, was the best place to hang out. And we'll get to that 7-car consist when we talk about the model specifically. Now I'm going to go over the model that's in front of us. So this is from third rail. This model was made in 2002. That's when this came out, 2002. So probably older than this layout that it's on right now, actually. Roughly older than this layout. These you can find for price-wise, probably around $800, depending on, box, if you have the original box, how much it's been ran. I got this. I forget the place. I forget where I bought this from. I remember it was on the Matt when it was called the Matt O Scale podcast. Somebody mentioned it on there, and this was a locomotive I really wanted. And I called I believe it was in Delaware, if I'm not mistaken. I forget the hobby shop. It was in Delaware. I remember that. It was in Delaware. And they were saying, well, are you going to be at this train show? And I was like, nah, just ship it to me. I trust your packing abilities. They found a old MTH styrofoam packer and crammed it in there. It fit. And now I have this. So I paid about, I think it was like $800. But these, again, given its age, also third rail locomotives tend to be old or tend to be in small orders. So, like the H10B was what 150 examples across 4 different models. So, that's really like, especially for my version, which is the green boiler version with the all-weather cab, the best one, by the way. And I will fight anybody that says otherwise. There's probably not many of these floating around. Now, remember when I mentioned the 7-car consist? Well, the 7-car consist, third rail also made. And from pictures online, it matches fairly nicely. It looks good. You got the white pinstriping. It looks good. It's rarer than this. This is rare. Those passenger cars are even rarer. It came in a 4-pack and a 3-pack. So you can recreate the entire Mercury consist. Whether it's the Cleveland, the Chicago, or the Cincinnati one, you could technically recreate the entire consist. I tried looking for how much they cost, and oh boy, it is difficult even finding original MSRPs for these. But I will say, if you can find one for a decent price, I mean, if you don't mind running an older locomotive with just TMCC and, basic sound, yeah, this is great. I do like it. I know streamlined locomotives are not everyone's cup of tea. Joker is not a fan of the bathtub locomotives. I don't care. I like them. I'm also a New York Central, fanboy. I start drooling when I see New York Central stuff. So, I'm going to be enjoying this. And unlike the new Commodore Vanderbilt, this actually looks good. Yeah, the new Commodore Vanderbilt from Lionel, that thing looks like it's got a hint of green in the gray for some reason. Now, third rail is also known for mainly brass locomotives. Their steam locomotives tend to be made of brass, so you get the really high details. But this is actually different because this is die-cast. This is all die-cast. And even so, you still get some really cool detail. One nice little detail is the drivers actually have running lights. So there are lights up here that actually shine down while the locomotive is in motion. And it looks really nice. The drivers, they look good. There's a little bit of wear on them. It was used. And also, it's well over 23 years old. Hey, that's it. This actually has lasted as long as the actual Mercury. Ain't that funny? This thing is 23 years old, and the actual Mercuries ran for about 23 years. Who would have thought? Now, curvature-wise, it's a Pacific type locomotive. You got your 4 wheels up front, you got your 6 in the middle, and you got your 2 on the end there. This thing can go around 054 curves. The passenger cars, I believe, is 072, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure exactly. Mainly because, well, I don't have them. Somebody can correct me in the comments, by the way. However, with the locomotive itself, since that's what we're talking about here, this thing can go around 054 curves. So you got your steel wheels, and the thing about third rail is the high detail. These drivers are actually sprung. I don't know if you could see it really, but they actually have suspension. I love little detail like that because, well, my track is not really the best laid. But I will say I don't have to worry about it because this locomotive actually has suspension. So that's nice. Smoke unit. The smoke unit is okay. It's a sleuth smoke unit. Obviously, in today's day and age, the H10B, probably one of my best smokers out there. This one's not a bad smoker either. You know, I'm a guy, like, my view is if you're going to run a steam locomotive, you got to use the smoke unit. It's got to be puffing out smoke. Otherwise, you're not doing it right. So the smoke unit on this is okay. I mean, it's probably as good as it was going to get in the early 2000s. But obviously, compared to today's market, which, you know, you got your fan-driven smoke unit, the smoke unit in the H10B, honestly, knocks it out of the park. You know, I mean, that thing smokes me out. You know, the H10B, the A2 Burke, heck, my Lionel Camelback, you know, those locomotives, those things, you know, they smoke me out of the train room here. You know, I got to open up a window. I feel like, you know, oh, I need to ventilate this place because otherwise I'm going to choke to death. You do get an operating rear coupler on the back here, and you know, it's not bad. By the way, my ceiling light over here is dead. I don't know if it's the actual housing or if it's the light itself. Hopefully it's the light itself. I just haven't gone to, you know, get a replacement yet. You know, it's the morgue lighting, you know. Why change the aesthetic of my videos for something that's actually good? You know, especially if I'm just doing this for fun. So the sound package in this is, it's Rail Sounds 4, I believe. It's not bad. It's doable. I'm not a huge like, I'm not like anal about the sounds. You know, again, keep in mind this is 2002. One thing I will say is when I got this, there was no battery, like a 9-volt battery in this. So I had to take the tender off here and hook up a battery in there, which I did. So, because I was wondering, why is there no sound? It's supposed to have sound. Took off the tender shell, put in a battery. Now you got sound. But you got your rear coupler. It is a wired tether. It's not bad though, and you do have, I will actually disconnect it, hopefully. There we go. You do have 2 holes here, so, you know, you can choose which one to put it in. The pin for the, that's on the tender here. Speaking of the tender here, the truck side frames. They're not bad looking. The bottom of the tender is kind of sparse. There's your electrocoupler. There's your speaker right there. You got your sound volume and you got your run program switch. You got your run program switch right here. I don't know if, yeah, there you can. And then you got your speaker volume, or your volume there. As far as details, you don't have a cab light, but there's the cab interior. You do have two painted figures. You got painted gauges, which is honestly more than I thought you would get. Try to angle a little bit better. The back head is not bad looking. You know, you got some painted gauges. You got some painted handles there in red. You got your two figures. You know, again, it's not the worst thing. Uh, Obviously, today, I think us as modelers ask for a lot more. See my H10B video when I kind of complained that, hey, you know, all these other companies have, you know, a smoking fire or a lighted firebox. Now to on some, just to show you some of the close-ups of this locomotive. Like I said before, I understand some people do not like streamlined locomotives. I am one of the exceptions. I really love the front of the Mercury here, especially the design of the pilot here. It just looks so sleek, and you know, like it's just ready to cut through the air. The design of the lines as well, and you get, of course, got the New York Central crest or logo right there in front. Get your one headlight, and the handrails, the white handrails going down. It's a nice contrast with this gray. It looks great. I love this color scheme. You know, the solid gray body with the white accents. It really, like, it just works. Like, it just, you know, it's screams luxury. It screams that, like, Art Deco-esque design, and I love it. Okay, now on to some issues. As I said, it's not the most detailed locomotive. Let me try to get it in the. I am blind. There we go. So these vents here, these hood, these whatever they're called, these don't open. These are just in the actual metal. Like, it looks like they open the little vents there. There's not going to be a lot of detail on the outside, mainly because it's, again, a streamlined locomotive. You're not going to get a lot of detail. I really do wish that the cab hatches here opened, but they don't. That's a bit disappointing. Also, third rail locomotives don't really run the best. They're not like great pullers. My H10B, that's not the greatest puller. I managed to pull, I think it was like 14 cars with it. But usually I start on a straightaway here, like, you know, the long portion of my train board is, you know, is like 30 feet. So there's my notepad. You know, usually I'll start on the straightaways and allow it to pull. Probably wouldn't be great pulling on a curve. However, and that's mainly due to the drive system that third rail uses. You know, it's a drive. It's like the quiet drive system. I don't know. I think personally, it's like tech from like the 70s that HO used, where it's like a band, like a rubber belt. Now, do I think that it's like bad? No, it's probably fairly strong. I don't expect it to break anytime soon. However, there are better ways to transfer the power from the motor to the wheels. MTH, Lionel, Atlas, they've done this. I just think, you know, for third rail specifically, it's not the best way to transfer power. Also, there is a way to tune these. I've been told that you can tune a third rail locomotive to run better. How much better? I have no clue. I'm not the person to ask. One person I do know that kind of knows how to tune these, that I've been told, is Sid. Sid's Trains. He's a very intelligent guy. Highly recommend his channel as well when you get a chance. But, you know, he knows how to tune these. I might eventually learn how to do it, but I'm not holding my breath anytime soon. So I'm going to actually do a little bit of B-roll. I'm going to like run around my layout a little bit, get some nice shots. We'll even do a nighttime shot because I do want to show off the lights underneath the locomotive by the drive wheels, because I think those actually look really cool. Alrighty. And for those wondering, the cars I'm pulling are the Lionel 21-inch passenger cars, the New York Central ones. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Finally getting this done today, or finally getting this video done. I've been meaning to do it a lot sooner. But, you know, just things got in the way, unfortunately. Next video, I think, is going to probably be on my N&W King Cole set. Not exactly sure, but, you know, I'm going to edit this video. Finally got what I wanted, which is actually getting B-roll for this. The passenger cars, it's 20th Century Limited, Lionel 21-inch passenger cars from the 20th Century Limited set. They're the only ones I have. I have all 8 of them, so I just took the RPO car off. And so that way it's at least somewhat similar to what the Mercury would be pulling. Because finding the Mercury cars for sale, the actual ones that came from the third rail, are nigh impossible. They're really hard to come by, especially in great quality or great condition, I should say. Yeah, they weren't that popular, unfortunately. So that's why I don't have them. But hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like or whatever. Anyways, see you next time.